Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
What's your weirdest paranormal experience? Here's mine. Be me around 6 or 7 years old, hanging out in the basement by myself playing with toy trains. Trains are cool.jpg. Start hearing laughing. Go upstairs to ask my parents if my sisters are home. They aren't. Goes back to playing with the trains, gets scared of the closet.
Probably was a dream now that I think about it, but still strange. Be me, like 10 years old. Wake up in a room that isn't mine. Everything is white. Walls and floor, furniture too. I think I was the only one that had color. Leave my room and go downstairs. Everything is still all white. See two tall white people. They look like mannequins. They have no faces. One is in the kitchen, the other is sitting down on the couch. They're doing their own things, as if there's nothing weird. For some reason I decided to call my mom on the phone, which is right next to the stairs. Phone is old, the type where you spin the wheel. Strange now that I think about it, since I don't know how to function that type of phone. Get no answer, put the phone back. Run out the door to outside on a rocky track. Weird detail, but I had no shoes on. Running on rocks hurts my feet. Keep running but can't leave. Don't remember what happened after. I still remember the layout of the house and everything pretty vividly.
Weird man reminds me of a strange dream I had as a kid. I remember getting out of bed and could hear muffled talking from the living room, which you could always hear with the TV and my parents talking, so it seemed like I was awake and normal. I was only about 4 or 5 years old. So I got up and went into the living room, and both my parents were there, talking, but they were ignoring me like I wasn't there. Then I realized they weren't actually moving at all, frozen, but talking. I got a bit scared and started to cry, walked over to my mother and reached out to her. As soon as I touched her, she fell over. She was a cardboard cutout, and there was like an old-fashioned tape recorder stuck to the back. I looked round at my dad and noticed from that angle that he too was made of cardboard and started screaming, shitting myself. Woke up with them both in my room, reassuring me. I know it was just a dream, but it still gives me the chills. I was really young, but there are certain images from that dream that are burned into my memory.
Hi, X. I want to share stories about my crazy neighbor. I'll greentext for faster consumption of and hopefully better spooks. Here be dump. Be me. Live on 11th floor in this old-ass apartment building. It's pretty chill. Don't hear a lot of noise from other apartments. Maybe a party at times or something, but nothing now due to COVID. Late night, watching comfy vids on YouTube and trying to doze off to Snoozeville. Hear a faint scream, but think nothing of it. Hear it a second time. The fuck was that? Put YouTube on mute and listen. Hear it again, but now way louder. It's absolutely horrific, something I've never heard before. A loud female scream sounding like somebody is about to die at any second. Hear some rumbling around, like somebody is quickly moving from one side of the room to the other and breaking the furniture along the way. All of a sudden dead quiet. Shitting myself in anticipation. It dies down a bit and I make my way to the main doors. Open the doors to the hallway and listen. Hear just the sound of the fluorescent lights and an empty hallway. My sensory levels are at 11. Hear it again. Nope.jpg. Frequencies bounce like a pinball all around the hallway. I can't tell if it's coming from above or below. Another one comes right after, this one really long and drony. That's it. Call the cops. Compose myself and dial 911. Try to tell them that somebody is screaming in the building. Notice how my voice shakes. Panic slowly sets it, but manage to give them enough info. They say they'll be here soon. Try to make some tea to calm myself down, but I still listen if she'll scream again. She does it a couple of more times in much shorter intervals. Try to figure out what's happening and try to make sense of it. Screams coming in irregular rhythms. Only one female scream, no sign of anyone else. No sign of any begging or threats like in typical domestic disputes. Hear that somebody opens the water right before she starts screaming. Decide to say fuck it and venture again into the hallways. Super spooked, slowly walking round the hallways waiting for her to scream again. Hear nothing. 6 policemen come. They ask me shit about the incident. They say somebody reported the screams as well. Thank God it's not me just imagining things or anything like that. Tell them everything and they say they will check. Go back to my apartment. The screams conveniently stop. Go back to bed, watch Bob Ross and fall asleep 2 hours later. Next morning I leave my apartment for work. See a group of neighbors at the bottom floor talking to each other. They are talking about the screams. Some say that they heard a faint scream coming from a woman. A guy chips in that he went to explore to see where it was coming from but couldn't find anything. Later found out that he lives under me and is the same guy that called the police. Tell them my side of the story and mention the water. One woman theorized that it's probably somebody on PCP or some bad drug, since like me, she didn't notice any other voices apart from her. The explorer neighbor says he though that somebody might be attacked since the screams were inducing hardcore fear. Go to work and try to forget about it. Return back and do my usually routine of dinner, 4chan and YouTube. Fucking hear em again. This time try to figure out where they are coming from. Long intervals of pause make it extremely difficult to figure out where they are coming from. Standing on the hallway like an idiot for 20 minutes. Hear scream. Don't know if it's coming from above me or down. Try going up and wait. Get fucking spooked standing in the dark and listening closely. Hear it again. Still can't figure out where they are coming from. Get tired of waiting. Go back to the apartment. Watch more YouTube. No screams. Fall asleep. Next morning I bump into the explorer neighbor that lives under me. Strike up a convo about the screams. He says he heard them again and went to take a look. Still couldn't figure out from where they're coming from. He literally though they were coming from an empty cabinet that somebody left on the hallway like years ago. It was of course empty. He also called the police. They said that they will send somebody but it's probably somebody just trippin' balls. The next few days are quiet. Sleep pretty normally. Dream comfy dreams when all of a sudden, scream louder than ever. Wake up in hardcore days. WTF was that? Scream getting louder. Hear thumps. Somebody starts frantically banging on my door. Almost shit myself shaking. Nope. Compose myself and try to make it to the door. Open door and hear the screaming. Coming from way down echoing. Some other people come out confused as fuck. 2 of them venture out, I go along. They see that somebody has left the building as there was a slipper in the middle of the floor. Somebody calls the police and tries to explain. They come and do their usual business. Some are searching the area. Go back up to my apartment. Can't fall asleep. Next morning go downstairs ground floor occupied by 2 cops. They asked me if I was here last night. Say yeah with some other people because of the spooky banging and screaming. Satisfied with lame answers they leave. See explorer neighbor and ask what's going on. He says that he came down around 6 a.m. to walk his dog. Saw some sticks and dirt scattered through the ground floor. Sticks were moved in a formation that made up a sentence. It said, I will not break the mirror, I will not lose him. They figured it was probably the screaming lady, before the police came to take a report. Get a bit spooked. Go to work. Get back and see that somebody left a note on the leaflet board. It said, if you need somebody to talk to, we are here for you. Please come to apartment 47, their surname. Your concerned neighbors. Go up and sleep. Quiet for almost 2 weeks. Life gets back to normal. One day return from work. Go towards the escalators. It takes forever to come down, and somehow I decide that it would be a brilliant idea to walk up to the 11th floor. Listen to music on headphones and walk the stairs. Song ends and I hear the screams through my headphones. Stop for a second, put down headphones and notice that the screams are extremely loud. Soon hear somebody running from the bottom floor towards me with great speed. Put 2 and 2 together. Hardcore nope. Start running like a maniac. The screams are getting louder. Too pussy to turn my head and take a look. Trying to keep up the pace. Look down and see that somebody is grabbing the rail. It's a hand with long fingers. Double fucking nope. Finally make it to the 11th floor and run like hell to my apartment. Open, get in, close and lock. Breathing heavily. Listen and hear how she runs past my apartment and towards the upper floors. Call the police. By now they are sick of our calls, but they still send someone. They finally manage to locate her in the upper apartment. Some middle-aged lady who has some mental problems. Turns out she was off the pills for months and had episodes. Later found out she was a domestic abuse victim from somebody who talked to her daughter. She was seeing her dead abusive husband coming from the mirror but didn't want to destroy it since she was missing him in some fucked up way. It explains the sticks, I guess. Later found out that she was moved somewhere else. Life goes back to normal. Kinda sad story.
A police night shift story. Wanted to post this in military spooky Greentext but never got to. I worked as a command room operator for a police division assigned to public transport security. Basically, we are the police that handles matters arising in trains, subways and buses. The room I work in can access all subway system CCTV cams at any time. Story begins on a typical night shift. Me and a few guys are chilling in the operations room. All the subways in my country are closed after midnight. For context, we would be informed of any maintenance personnel at any particular station. This was not one of those days. Whenever a high clearance door at a subway is triggered, opened by force, strong force on it, we would get an alarm on our computers. So around 3 a.m. we received an alarm for a door for one of the maintenance rooms connecting the underground tracks to some engineering area. We bring up the CCTV camera facing this door and threw it up on the big screen at the front of the room. What we saw was pretty morbid. So this heavy security door was ajar. A little bit more context. These doors work with heavy-duty magnetic security systems, and even if you had the clearance card to disable the magnets, there is a strong pressure difference between the tunnel and the engineering room where you probably have to use a lot of strength to get the door open and keep it open. This door was fucking ajar on the screen. And while we were phoning up a maintenance crew to check, these black figures very clearly move from the tunnel into the room. Like, it was a well-lit area and it was just a bunch of shadows moving through the door. We reported this incident to superiors but never heard any updates on it. Just said it was a faulty door, but that footage is there. Pic related how lit the area was. We checked all the angles on various cameras.
In 2012, I lived in a shady part of town in a house apartment that I shared with my roommate. We both had our own room and shared a bathroom and kitchen that was at the same time a sort of living room. It was a shitty attic apartment 'cause the rent here is fucking killer. The surroundings ranged from oddly comfy to extremely creepy. A couple of months since I moved in. Enjoying my hot choco on a cold evening and being comfy. Reading some book about film scoring. All of a sudden hear bangs above me. Moving very quickly. It's an attic apartment, so it's directly on the roof. Suddenly quiet. Try to make my mind believe it was just some bird, even though I know full well it was way heavier. Hear it again. Literally sounds like somebody is running on the roof. Finally decided to check it out. Have a roof window which I slowly opened to take a look. I only saw my roomie next to my room, opened the window looking confused. Ask what the fuck was that? He's confused and freaked out as well. 2 days later, early morning, still sleeping. A loud bang and somebody running across our roof. Tell this to the landlord. He shrugs it off and says it's probably flying gypsies. Didn't clarify what that is. One night in late autumn. The place is drenched in fog. Drive back from my workplace around 11 p.m. Turn towards the neighborhood, a long road with just shitty illegally built houses. See a figure approaching from the fog. A young girl, shoeless, walks besides the road. Has a big heart crudely drawn on her white dress. It's cold as fuck and she's dressed like she's coming from a summer festival. I think it's odd but continue driving. See another figure in the distance. It's some guy with a horse mask holding a sign. Sign says, "Don't turn towards the river." There is a river flowing beside the neighborhood. Turn towards my street and see the guy giving me a thumbs up in the mirror. Park in front of the house and hear faint music coming from the distance. It's coming from the direction of the biker bar. Next morning tell the story to my roomie. He says that it's a shady joint and best be avoided since the landlord told him that shootings happen there at times. Few months later the place is raided for human trafficking. Some minors are discovered living with the owner. At home. Chilling on the computer late at night. Extra windy outside. Look outside the window at times. Be mesmerized by the trees swinging in the wind. It's pretty comfy. Decide to open the window and take a look outside. See some bag dancing on the road. The wind picks it up and pushes it towards the end of the road. The street lamp there was not working, so can't really see where the bag ended up. See figure approaching street. Really weird figure. Notice it's somebody who has a gigantic garbage bag that covers most of her torso. Walks with a hunched back. Yell towards him, her if they need help. Ignores me and walks towards the end of the road towards the biker bar. At home on a weekend. Playing piano and drinking some tea in my room. Try to figure out this melody. It has an A part and a B part. Play the A part but struggle with the B part. Play a part. All of a sudden hear somebody whistle the B part very loud. Hear like it's coming from the apartment. Roomie is out so he couldn't. Think WTF. Try it again but it's dead quiet. Forget about it. Later me and roomie make pasta for dinner and eat in the living room. Talk and stuff and then we hear the whistling again. It's coming from this small hallway that's between my room and the bathroom. Investigate. It's coming from this small wall door behind the cupboard. Wait a bit. It's all quiet. Hear something knocking. Get freaked out but intrigued. Must be some animal? It quiets down and no sound is heard. Eventually get bored and go to bed. The next morning ask the landlord. Says not to worry about it. Maybe it was just him trolling or some shit. Come home one day. I know that my roomie is usually in at this hour. The apartment is empty. Think nothing of it as he's probably out. Go to the toilet to take a shit. See bloody handkerchiefs. More bloody handkerchiefs in the kitchen sink and trash. Roommate does not return. Next morning I called him up. It goes straight to voicemail. Decide to fuck it and explore his room. Broke the code, sorry. See that there are drops of blood on the floor. Not like a pool of blood but just droplets. I can't decide whether to call the police. Track his sister down on Facebook. Says he's at her place cause he suffered some shit. He comes back in 2 days. Tells me how he heard a high-pitched tone coming from the same place where we heard the whistling. Made him dizzy, started bleeding from the nose like mad. Called his sister and got the fuck out of the apartment. Suffered horrific migraines for 2 days. Told this to the landlord. Landlord said not to worry about it. Roomie moves out soon after that. Me 2 months after that.
Be me, 12. Live in Southern California in the Sonoran Desert. Live in outskirts of an already small town. Dirt roads for miles. Dad likes to take his quad with something heavy chained to the back of it to smooth the roads. Takes me one day. Gets dark. On the drive home, I look behind me. I see this humanoid chasing after us, making no sound. Bald, pale, and skinny. Back legs are bent upwards like a cricket, reaching up to 5 feet. Get so scared, just tell my dad to drive faster. Go as fast as 40 miles per hour before we outrun it. Never told my dad out of fear. Never see it again.
I have a similar one. Living in Mexico, Grandpa wants to take me up into the mountains. He has a friend who grows corn up there. We go on horseback. I'm little, so he kinda puts me in his lap and Grandpa has me hold the reins and lead the horse. He was in full control, of course. We spend the afternoon roasting corn and eating and talking with Grandpa's friend. Leave around nightfall, slowly making our way down the mountain. Grandpa looks behind us and curses under his breath. Tells me to keep looking straight ahead. Starts praying. I try to look behind us. Grandpa tells me not to look. Never heard him that mad before. Eventually we make it back to town. Grandpa never told me what he saw.
Don't know how to Greentext. About 11 years ago now, was cruising around with 2 buddies B and M at like midnight. Live near a native reservation. Around here, years before this event, there have been several alleged werewolf sightings. I was relating these tales, and M says he had to piss. So, we stop on this nature trail that loops around a small lake. To the right, the trail goes through the woods. To the left, the trail starts as a wooden bridge that goes over swamp. The bridge has wooden rails about 5 feet high. The next happened in about 3 seconds of time. We pull into this gravel parking lot, enough to fit maybe 20 cars. The headlights illuminate this massive black shape standing upright on the bridge. M, in the backseat, already had the door open cause we were all stupid kids fucking around, and he hadn't seen it yet. B, the driver, starts freaking out immediately. M sees it, starts screaming, and jumps back in. I am in the front passenger seat, awestruck. This black figure was facing away from us, turns, and bolts out of sight down the bridge. On all fours, this thing was 6 inches taller than the rails, and it was fast. Door slams shut as B peels out and we are fucking gone. M insists that it was a dog, but no local dog is that big. There are bear sightings on rare occasion, and they're fast, but I dunno. The whole thing felt surreal. As we're talking about what this was, speeding away, M is sitting behind B and slams his hand on the window and starts screaming. B screams and almost shits his pants as he squeals to a stop, and then we laugh at his expense. But yeah, weird shit.
Junior year of college, I lived in the oldest residential dorm on campus. Lots of ghost stories about dorms. I shrugged them off. The basement was creepy though. Unfinished, ugly cement walls and floors, cobwebs. Laundry facilities were down there and people would always try to get laundry done before it got too late at night because it was so creepy. Also a locked door in the basement. I had a proclivity for exploring in college and picked many locks to get into some fun places. Never had any luck with this one though, which was a bummer because I was very curious of it. It was kinda in the corner of the basement and couldn't have led to a very large room at all. It seemed so random, almost like a broom closet, but it wouldn't have made much sense to have a utility closet in the basement. Tried many unsuccessful times to get into that door. One day, after several long nights up past midnight to finish assignments, finally got work done early and was looking forward to some good sleep. Then a friend called with a personal problem and I walked to meet them. Then another friend called. Then after 1 a.m. a third messaged me. Not a sociable person, so it was mentally draining helping 3 friends in one night. It was such a strange, unlucky coincidence that 3 people needed me in one night. Particularly in the one night I was looking forward to an early sleep. 2:30 a.m., walking back to dorm. Fumbling with keys to get in the building. Felt this weird tingle on the back of my neck and sudden overwhelming desire to go down to the basement. At first I thought I remembered that I left my laundry in the wash or something, but then I swear I felt a voice say, "Come down to the basement." Got into the building and just stood there, staring at the steps to the basement. It made no sense to go down there. A prickling feeling on my neck remained, and I swear it again felt a voice in my head urging me to go down to the basement, just for a moment. Went downstairs to the basement, turned on the lights, and saw no one at the washing machine. Nothing. Just stood in the middle of the basement floor, waiting a second or two for I don't know what. I felt like an idiot, but whatever, I was sleepy and it was time for bed. I turned around to go back up the stairs when I saw the locked door was wide open. Almost ran forward into it, but as I got closer I realized my assumption was right. It was a tiny room, barely bigger than a closet. But it was empty. Well, almost empty. It oddly had a single desk, like the small single desks for elementary school kids. So odd, so out of place. From the ceiling a single old light bulb was hanging over top the desk. The only other thing in the room, beside the desk, was an old beat-up computer chair. The kind that spins, and the damn chair was spinning. Slowly, but steadily enough that it wasn't from a draft. No one else in the basement, no one else in this weird tiny room, and it was spinning. Sprinted away up the stairs, sprinted up the 3 flights to my dorm, slammed my door shut and jumped into bed. I never tried picking that door open again, even in the safety of daytime. But I never again saw it open, and I asked around without luck to see if anyone else ever saw in there. Sorry if that's a lame, paranormal story, but it's 100% true and really disturbs me thinking about it. In my sleepy state I was a bit too eager to obey the summons to the basement.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentexts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.